Next was Ben Askren and Robbie Lawler. And in all honesty, what a disappointing way for that fight to end, because you want to see, you got the feeling very early on when Robbie slammed him that fight, there was going to be finality in that fight. Like, you were going to get a finish and you were going to get a clear winner. And, you know, in my opinion, it was a mistake on Herb Dean's part. If you were going to stop the fight, you should have stopped it as soon as his arm fell and just went, nope, it's over. But when you grab his arm, to me, it looked like there was life in his arm. Like, if he was passed out, his arm would have just been, like, dangling there, right? Like, nothing would have been happening. But Robbie, he grabbed it and then stopped it. And I think what happened is he saw the arm go limp. And as a reflex, when you see that, you kind of grab it to see if there's life in it. And most of the time, like, I think Herb prepared mentally for there not to be life and then called the fight once he grabbed it. I think it was a confusing situation. It was very, bang, bang. Looking at it in slow motion, it seems so much more obvious, but that's a complicated spot to be in. So it was a mistake, but an understandable mistake, and one that I don't think that you can criticize Herb too strongly for. Regardless, what's going to be next for these guys is kind of complicated, because Robbie obviously wants a rematch, and in my opinion, deservedly so. I know that, like, Ben doesn't want to fight him again, but that fight still makes sense because Robbie was so close to finishing him early on. And, like, a bulldog choke isn't something that you see finished all the fucking time. Like, Robbie's extremely tough, extremely durable. If he could have got out of that, who knows how the fight would have ended. That fight, for as short as it was, had a lot going on. You got to see Ben Askren, who's never really been put in trouble. He got hurt early. He responded. He landed the takedown. And then Robbie eventually worked himself back up but got caught in a choke on the way up, and then the fight ends controversially. There's a lot going on there for as short as the fight was. But I just think that, like, I don't think the rematch is going to happen because it was a finish. And I think that, like, 170, especially with a new title holder in Usman, it needs to advance. And I think the right thing to do for the division is to book Askren against the winner of Masvidal and Till, and then give Robbie Lawler. You know, I don't really know who you give Robbie Lawler to. You know, there's a lot of guys that, because, like, it's a controversial loss. It's not, no one's going to ever consider it, like, a definite loss, you know what I mean? Because he was obviously still there when he got up. It was just a bad call by the ref. So regardless of what's on his record, you can still make, and it's Robbie fucking Lawler. He can fight anyone and still, you know, and it'll still be a popular fight. But honestly, I don't mind a fight against Neil Magny, a guy coming off a loss, and you know, another one where it's like it's a winnable fight for both guys, and I think it's an interesting matchup stylistically. You got a long-range guy, Neil Magny, who mixes things up well, in a brawler, and Robbie Lawler. I think it's got potential for fireworks, and I like the fight for both guys, you know. And for Ben Askren, like I said, I think the winner of Till and Masvidal does make sense. You know, Till's undoubtedly still one of the best welterweights in the world, and if Masvidal can beat him, he deserves to jump up in the rankings, and if not, Till's still up there. That's a good fight for Askren, and maybe a win over Till, especially if he can pull it off in dominant fashion, earns him a shot at the title. And what's Askren going to do now? Because, like, you know, Woodley is no longer the champion, and, like, do you want to chase 170 gold, or are your plans to go elsewhere? You know, I don't really know. And they're teammates, so it's a complicated situation, because, you know, in, like, Ben's heart, he's competitive. He wants the world title, but, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, depending on the run that Ben Askren goes on at 170. Like, especially if Woodley were to rematch Usman and lose twice, I mean, Ben would probably most likely end up fighting him. But I don't know. That's kind of a confusing situation, but I think the fight that Ben wants makes sense, and Robbie, I'd like to see him fight like a Neil Magny. I think that fight makes sense too.